Hello everybody, welcome to another episode. We're going to be doing another tier list for hard mode this time. And like always, the other time, the right side, those are people who are banned. You can't play. They either break immersion or they probably break the game mode in some way or fashion. Or they're Hercules because he's the mascot of the games. You can't play him, obviously. And we're going to go through what characters you're going to see, what comps are good, how to get through it in hard mode. And when we're talking about hard mode, we're talking about assuming that you have a lot of epic gear already. You're going to try to run it through the fastest possible, strategy like that. And to get started, we're going to put Agni at A, just like in easy mode. He's got high burst damage, and being an A, you're kind of like the middle of the way. If we go to SS, these are going to be characters who, if you pick them, you're going to solo the entire dungeon, does not matter, you win. D is going to be terrible, and the enemies are going to win. That's how bad they are. But Agni goes in A because you're going to either build mages one of two ways. Either as much damage as possible or utility. And he falls under the much damage as possible, pretty much. Of course, you want to pick up Pythags to help the team out, but the mage damage isn't really what you're looking for. You're looking for more of big crits and pen, basically. But he's all around good, going quickly through the map. Musop, he's S. Reason being is when you have Fatalis, crit, lifesteal, he's a beast. And if you take your time, D and Brandon showed it was possible. You can solo the first boss and pretty much get to the second boss. We didn't get to see him go through the cave of spiders. However, he was able to beat the first boss. You just take it slow with the slow on the honey, and you just make it through. He's a heavy hitter, and with shogis and everything else, his teammates buffing him, he does work. Alposh is B. Reason being is he has to be close to everything, and he's got to basically pick up his corpses. You can never really explode, and just the damage isn't too high. He's not going to get anything much use out of his 3 with the heal passive attached to that, and he can sustain, but it's not enough for the 580s that mobs are hitting him for. Mott S+ with a good team comp of either healer, warrior, hunter, or 2 hunters and a warrior, which I think Amat feels very well with. I recently played a game. We were bringing her in, and it was super easy just getting to the boss. Even with a random, we were able to go quickly. The 10% extra damage on her passive, the mitigations is good. If you're looking for a speed run character, Amat is the way to go. Always make sure you have a stone cutting sword on you and at least one executioner on the party, and you will do well. The only thing downside with her is her ult. It's a get out of free jail card, kind of, in terms of avoiding some damage or cleansing the slows in the cave of spiders. But other than that, she's a solid character. On her, up there with AMC, S. He could be a S+ character if I think he had a little bit more. He's probably S+, honestly. He's close to being up there. He probably has the best late game kit. I mean, he's an early game god in Conquest, and that translates very well to PvE. He's got his passive, which is basically like an executioner. He has more pen and therefore more damage when mobs are in the sand. His pillar, he can knock enemies up, which is great for spiders or just any kind of initiation. His ult's good for clearing the two guard doors at the start of the game. It kind of gets him out if he's slowed by spiders. The only thing you have to be careful with him is placing the pillar. On most bosses, their entity aura is a lot larger, the hitbox, than you would think. So if you put it too close, it will disappear. You pretty much have to put it on the edge. Anubis A. I've not made it to the end with Anubis. However, running just through mobs normally is a breeze. Book of the Dead, Pythags is perfect. You can you can tank a lot of things with Anubis. I think there is a team comp that does work around him. You just need to give it a little bit more time to get his damage off. Aphrodite S+. She's incredible. You can't beat her. The only build you should go, which is the best build, and I've seen one other person almost pull it off, but you should always go Rod of Tahuti, Rod of Asclepius, Shogun's Kasari, Chronos Pendant, Pythagorean's Piece, and then your optional item, which I always take Lotus Crown for the extra protections and MP5. This build is the best. Don't listen to what anyone else says. They are wrong. Do this, and you will be a great Aphrodite player. You're healing for close to 120 a tick. You can have a constant Lotus Crown buff. You have 100% MP5, so you're sharing 14 mana. You keep everybody topped off. Your ultimate is super helpful. It's on a 32-second cooldown. I believe it's, or a little bit higher than that. So you can have an ult for every spider, every big spider in the spider cave. Your knockback is super useful, either using it as a slow or as the primary knockback. She's super strong with a warrior hunter combo. You will see a lot of her, and she'll be picked, either her and Hel. They'll be who's picked pretty much. Arachne is probably an A character, or a little bit better depending on how you're playing her. If you're playing her as more of like a rush down character or not. She makes great use of her movement speed with her spiders. They don't really tank too much, but they are benefit. The extra life steal is great. She's good for taking down the lion's pillars. Pretty good character overall. Ares is D. Just every guardian is pretty much going to fall in the D category, or a little bit higher. They're not useful. What the little things that they're giving aren't a lot, and you want damage, and they're slow damage, and they have hard CCs, which aren't useful at all. Artemis, B+ or A. It's kind of a given. You see a lot of characters. Well, you see Kernanos, and his ult's useless, 100%. Tusky's ult is pretty much useless. It gives you CC immunity, which is pretty decent, but she's just lacking the fact that you're already building so much crit that it's not necessary. Although if you're playing with people that aren't really familiar with hard mode, it can be nice because you don't have to run Malice instead of the 3 Wind Demon, Deathbringer, Malice. You can swap out Malice for something else for a little bit more utility. And the trap is useless. She's a good character, just not a lot of people play her. Artemis D. You don't want Athena. Ooh, my bad. Athena, you don't want her. She's bad. Awilix, I'm not too sure how to quite place her. She's got some interesting things. She's got Awilix. She's got Suku. My bad. So she's got good mobility. I think she's definitely a better speed runner than people give her credit for. I've seen her on the leaderboards with a pretty good time. We're gonna put her probably an A+. Reason being is, even though she has to be in the fight, and then for the spiders it's not that great. If you have her and you're popping that ult and you're critting and hitting hard and taking your time kind of with mobs, nah, she's A. She's not that great. She's not too good, I would say. She's good, but she's not. You can't avoid too much damage with the feather step. You can avoid a lot. With the boar, it's nice with the big boar, but with using the ult to get that attack speed and power restored, you can hit pretty hard. You do need. She's more like a Mercury. You want to think of her kind of like a Mercury. Bacchus, D. I wouldn't want him. Actually, right now we're just going to take all the guardians and put them in D because they're not useful at all. Terra, Sylvanas, Xingchen, Ymir, Geb, Ganesh. Am I forgetting any? Fafnir. Okay. they're just all bad. Bacchus doesn't give enough. Fafnir doesn't give enough damage. Ganesh doesn't do anything. Geba doesn't do anything. Khepri's too slow. Kumba is useless. Kuzenbo has 2 kappas. Sobek, when you think it's good, just not enough damage. Sylvanas is bad. Terra, cooldown's great. A lot of utility, not enough damage. Xingqian, slow damage. Ymir, utility not necessary for endgame. Bam. Bakasura. He's a B+ character. He could be an A. However, he lacks the same problem that he does in easy mode, which is the passive. I do know, yes, that if you're at the Hydra, there are 4. There's 2 spawnings of minions that you can utilize, but even then, the window of utilizing that full passive is super low. And I guess if you were a true RPG MMO player, you could use a strategy that would kite around the little minions and somehow survive that, and then utilize 1 minion per turn so that you can keep your passive up a little bit longer than the average. But that's just not in Smite. Those people aren't here, so he's sticking in B+. He's good, but he's not that good. Bastet. Bastet's a C. Cats don't bring a lot to the table. She's not hitting hard. Her damage is a little slow. She's safe to a degree running away, most like junglers, but she just doesn't offer anything with a fight. Bellona. Bellona is probably S class. I wouldn't put her at SS just because the speed running isn't the greatest. Whenever I play her, I always feel like I'm lacking in sustain. Even though I'm running crit and lifesteal and my bludgeon is hitting for a lot, getting into a fight or getting into small packs of mobs does take a little bit of time, because either you walk up. Now this is coming from just a I'm tanking mentality where you have to tank everything 100%. If you're doing that, you're either dashing in with your shield bash, using your bludgeon, and by that time you're getting hit by, let's say there's 4 mobs, you're getting hit by 2 ranged and then 2 melees after they walk up. You're hitting probably 6 times before you even get your bludgeon off in your first auto. So you're taking almost close to probably 1,000 damage, and it just takes a big toll. You really need either someone to heal you on the way up there, or you need someone to start and then you go back in. I do think she has the best ultimate out of every single warrior that you're going to see on this list, simply for the fact that for people that aren't as skilled in hard mode, the Cave of Spiders is the most difficult part, regardless of what anybody says. The 4th big spider that comes spawns at a very congested area, and that will kill a run right away. People die instantly. With Bellona, though, you see that spider, you can either ping it, you ult that spider, you 2, or if you already have your bludgeoned up, you just kill it instantly. The protections is super great, even for dodging, boar mechanics, the lion mechanics. She is very strong. The only thing keeping her from S+ is getting to the bosses. Can be a little bit dangerous if you don't have the right team, but she's pretty much in S+. She's in between, if we have to say that. Cabrakan is a guardian. You're right. I feel stupid. Camazont, he's a B character. He can't utilize his passive like Bakasura can through most of the time, so he's sticking down there. The damage isn't that insane. His sustain is okay, but I mean, if you crack on a bunch of lifesteal, anybody's gonna be good. Kurnos, S+. Reason being is people say he's got the highest lifesteal in the game, which I mean isn't entirely true, because Uller has just the same amount, being 15 flat, 15% also. But he's up there simply because he has the spring stance to heal himself. He has a debuff, which no one ever uses, but he does have it. And he has the summer stance for the extra damage. He is a tank. He is also a damage dealer, but he's also a tank. You put on 2 lifesteal items with Kurnos, and you are healing for 200 to 100, or 180 to 200 every single cleave. That makes people like Bellona super happy because Kurnos can run up to the wave, or the groups of minions, attack them, Bellona can come back up, and then crit for 1,000 and kill everything quite quickly. His ult is useless. You should know this for playing hard mode. Don't get baited into using the ult. It's 140 mana. It's a waste. If you have an Afro, you're fine, but, you know, be wise about it. Chalk. Chalk is an A character. He drops down a little bit. The protections is good. The heal is not as strong as you would like. It takes a little bit to get it off. And then the protection of the ult is good. You just don't see him a lot. I think if people played him a little bit more, they would, but he does lack for me because he doesn't have a cleave type auto. It really hurts him with his cooldowns, and if you're not speccing into cooldown, which you don't really you shouldn't be, he just isn't that great. But he's a fair character to play. Chang'e is B+. Nothing's. The only thing that's stopping her from being A is just the fact that she's a mage. I mean, she's got low cooldowns, high damage. You would build her semi-utility, but you know she's not hitting nearly as hard as you want in hard mode. Good for trash mobs, but other than that, you know. Kurnos is A. He's still got a little bit of heal. He's got the dash, although it does become a little bit wonky when you're fighting something that has a lot of HP and you have to pick between using your dash for an escape versus the damage. The ult becomes relatively useless, but you know it stops you from dying. You know, you can get that last shot off in the spider cave to save your teammate or what have you. Cupid's A+. First god that's going there. People are just skipping past him, but he's really good. He's got his heal. He's always topped off with mana. People were just picking those up. Fields of Love, his ultimate, is one of the better hunter ultimates. It's like Kurnos that actually does something. It's great for the surprise attack from the double Cyclopses with Mystical Mail. You just pop that, get them all dead. It's good for spiders. It slows them down. The Heart Bomb is also quite helpful. You stack a bunch of damage with his 3 who have a lot of attack speed already. So when your Aphrodite or your warrior is building shogies, you're benefiting a little bit more from that. Erlang is probably an S character. You want him to. He's very good. I enjoy playing Erlang a lot. Now I haven't played Erlang too much, to be honest, outside of this PvE, but inside this PvE he's great. His 4th auto is a cleave. His DPS is definitely significantly AoE wise less than Bellona, but he's still good. He applies the stone cutting sword very well. He has a good in, he has a good out with the 72 transformations. He can get in with his turtle form for that extra shield. Knocking characters up is super helpful. Knocking a spider up, knocking a ranged minion up helps. Pinning them down, pinning a spider down. His ult is pretty much for himself. You know, it doesn't taunt anything, but with the heal you can just you can get away with not having a healer. That's one of the big selling points for Erlang, is you don't need a healer comp. You could do speed runs and just rush through stuff and kill it as quickly as possible. Fenrir is going to be an A. He's a pretty cool dude. He's got good lifesteal. The only problem with him is he has to be close to things and his ultimate isn't useful. Other than that, he does quite well. Freya's going to be A+, with the ability to have physical items as well as magical. You can get your attack speed up pretty high, and being a magical hunter does have its benefits. I mean, you're not swinging for crazy high, you know, maybe 500 an auto or higher, but you still have that passive lifesteal, which is great. She does work with some comps. Her ultimate is a good get out of free jail card. Lower damage than what you would like, but it's more of like a safety utility. But if you play her, don't whoop enemies out people's clear. It becomes a nuisance at some point. Guan Yu is B+. Oh no. Ooh. Reason being is Talus Salt's good. He just takes too long to get stuff off, and he just doesn't do enough. If you're running maybe a speed comp, it could work, but his damage is too low. He's too single target. He's probably a little bit higher than he should be. Actually, he is. He's a B character. I wouldn't want him. If I saw Guan Yu, I would be kind of scared. Hebo is a B. He's a mage. He's got high damage, I guess. It's good for spiders. His carpet, get a slow immunity, is pretty good. But he's not someone I would want taking into the final boss fight, because he has to be somewhat closer than I would like him to be to the boss with the kind of the apotheosis spray that it does. Hel's A+. She's great. I think she's one of the better healers and people to take to the spider cave and most. The cleanse is super helpful. If you're not doing the spinny round strat on the boar with your warrior, you can cleanse the knock to the right ability, because it happens. It goes slam, auto, tusky whip, and then you go flying. You cleanse it. You're good. You can keep Lotus Crown on with the low cooldowns that she's bringing to the table. The protections is pretty good with her passive, or is it her ultimate? I believe it's her ultimate. She's definitely a good character. If you see her, don't be scared. She's good at picking people like slow, and for speedrun, she's also pretty nice. Houyi is B. His kit relies on being able to attack gods and doing things to gods with his Mark of the Crow and the ricochet. You're not getting off, so you're only getting like one shot off, one bounce. That's not enough damage to play him. Hunbats is B. I would rather have him over Bastet, only because the fact that he has better AoE than she does. He doesn't have enough sustain, and he's got to be close. You got to be careful with Hunbats. You don't want to be running around with him. Isis is B+. I want to put her higher. The only issue is she just doesn't do enough that hunters can do. Easy mode, she's great. I think she really thrives there, but in hard mode, you don't want her. She's probably higher than this. I'm giving it to her, but I think she should stay there. Kali, B+. Destruction stops her from dying, which is her ultimate. The extra lifesteal on her 2 is up to 30. Well, you hit is 30%. Is pretty good for bosses, especially the lion, killing that down. You don't see her a lot, which is weird. I think she's similar to a Mercury, which would be closer if she was played at all. I think she would be probably an A or an A+. People just don't use her at all. Ao Kuang, C. He's down here because you don't want this character around. If you're building him kind of one-shotty, the cooldown isn't really there, and your tornadoes are hitting probably for only 250, if that, and overall doesn't hit for a lot. He just doesn't bring enough to the table that hunters. I'm comparing a lot to hunters just because they run the meta pretty much for hard mode. Loki, I can't put him in D. I will put him in B because I have seen on the leaderboards people running Loki. I don't know what they were doing, if he was carried or what, but obviously he wasn't. He's just, his ult's useless. The decoy, he's pretty much for speedruns, I would think. If you're trying to get a really fast run, but other than that, I wouldn't want him around. He does have his uses. I would say that. Medusa, probably an A. She's pretty much general. Her alt's good. Her dash, you can't really utilize that. The anti-heal with it, the acid spray is okay. Getting through the spiders can be a little bit challenging, but she does quite well. The attack speed steroid is nice. Mercury S. Now I'm gonna be I haven't talked about it yet, but you can buy blessings that give 20% either damage, movement speed, and protections. And with Mercury, he benefits from not obviously benefits from all of them, but he benefits damage wise from 2 of them. So he's gonna have more damage because he's faster, and more damage because of the red blessing. He can crit hard, and with a speed comp running either him, a warrior, and a hunter, or 2 warriors and him, he can just mow down anything. He is insane. Gotta be careful with him though. Neith is B. Neith is C. Her ult isn't useful. The backflip isn't useful. She doesn't have any steroid in her kit. I would not pick her. Nemesis is C as well. Nemesis is D. Reason being is, now I'm thinking about spiders. If you're going through spiders, you don't have enough to kill things. Your slice and dice isn't doing insane amount of damage. You're not killing spiders unless you're running a really heavy cleave team or AoE damage. And again, the ult is useless. You don't get a heal off the Retribution Shield. Nike S. You're gonna see Nike probably the most. Nike, Kernanos, and Aphrodite. Does she belong in S+ then? Every time I see this, I keep seeing on her being an S+, and I think, is he really there? And then I think, yes, he should be. Nike is probably an S+ character, and I can prove this. I have duoed the final boss twice with a Nike and Afro. Not to say that a different warrior could have done it, but what she brings to the table is impressive. Her first 2 auto attacks are cleaves, and they hit pretty hard. So getting to bosses is a breeze. You just activate, you you can activate your 2, it resets it, and then you auto again. You're critting things for really hard. You're healing a lot. You can use Ren doesn't work on bosses, which kind of sucks. However, if you use your 2 into your 3, you get a really quick jump to knock things up to save your teammates. Having your 2 active passively for the HP 5 is nice. And if you need a big shield that's almost instant that cleanses you, is pretty good for spiders too. She's a strong character. You're gonna see her a lot, definitely. And make sure you're always getting Stone Cutting Sword because you want to reduce those protections as low as you can. Nox is a D. I wouldn't want her. Her damage is too slow. Odin. Odin's probably a B or a B+. Reason being is I think he's going to have a super difficult time with spiders. But I think if you build him correctly and you utilize just his shield, you could do quite well. There's probably definitely a kiting trick that you can do for spiders or something crazy like that. For bosses, I think if you get him to a boss, you would do fine. People just don't play him. Odin, I think, gets less credit than he deserves. Osiris is a C. He would be a D, although he has a cleave. Other than that, he's not great at all. I wouldn't want to see an Osiris. He's very much single target in his ult. Part of his ult becomes useless because things can't heal in the game. So why are we using that? And his tether doesn't work. But if his mitigations did work, he would be a lot higher. You would see him probably close to Chalk, being up there with A. Poseidon is a B. He's not not someone that I would want. I've done him in hard mode, and it feels bad, man. When you're running and you're only autoing for like 200, you don't like that. And he's got good clear, for minis and ads, but for boss fights, you don't want him on your team. Raw drops down to B plus. He could be A. However, usually you're just trying to run through things as quickly as possible, and nah, he's an A. He's definitely an A. I would like to see him more. You don't see him. He just gets beat out by Hel and Afro. That's all it comes down to. But he's a good baseline character. If you got him to the last boss, throwing a heal in the front, and kiting around with your movement speed, he would do quite well. You would build him very supporty. I would say almost exactly like Aphrodite, except for I would probably take off Lotus Crown and add something else instead. But he's all right. Raiden, he's probably a C character. I'm sticking to most of the mages, the Bs, but he's probably a C character. I have no evidence why. I think this is bias, just because no one likes Raiden, Region. But yeah, no. Robin's gonna be B plus. Similar to Odin, he has everything to make him a great warrior. He just doesn't have enough, it seems. If he had a cleave, he would be at the top. But as it is now, he still has the damage mitigation with his ult. I think a little bit of cooldown is good for him. Robin's good. You probably just won't be looking to go that far. Probably just looking to get some quick runs in. Scylla is going to be a B plus. Utilizing the pen with her passive, if you're running a mage comp, she could work, I think, quite well. Being able to get around spiders and cripple 3 of them is quite impressive for the cave. She just hasn't had the time to grow. Striket is D, 2 single target, all useless. Scotty's probably a B or a B plus. I would probably think she's a B plus. She's got good mobility. The damage can get really high, and I think if I did some more testing with her, she could be pretty good. I'd like to see what spiders do, but she could be up there with the others, but she doesn't get played. Soul is an A. If you're running Soul, you're gonna take a really long time to kill bosses because your damage is so low. But she is possible. I mean, her ult is a good cleanse, good knock up for spiders or the bosses. She has a self heal, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And she is one of the only auto-based mages that you can't play. Wukong is a B. He's like Odin, except for I don't think he has really the room to grow. He doesn't have cleaves, so he's not getting off big crits. His damage is relatively low for the high cooldowns that he has, and sitting in your cloud, making others tank for you, isn't great. I think you could have him and win with him, but it would be a very challenging endeavor. Susanoo's a C. He's got good mobility. He could probably run through a room very quickly. The only problem I see with him is just kind of being close, you know. That can be an issue. Getting to the last boss, being at the last boss, I think would be beneficial with his auto attack canceling. With his 3, you could get off some pretty high damage pretty quickly, rank that up. Thoth is a C. Don't pick him. He's not good. Tyr's a C. The knockback pull mechanic he has in his red stance isn't great. His protections aren't high enough in his blue stance. His ult isn't as impactful as you want. His heal is relatively small. and his auto attacks are wonky. He's at the bottom. Uller is an A, or A+. If people played him more, I will put him up in A+. However, they don't, because they think Kronos is better, which I do think he is. When you're taking Uller through spiders, it does take 3 or 4 abilities to clear out the spiders, one spider group. You have a great steroid. I think he rivals with Cupid. Just people don't play him, and if they did, they would find that he's fantastic. Bellona is C. His damage is too low and too slow, and popping that ult, if he pops his ult, he's gonna die before it gets even off. Just the damage, it's not something that you can get away with. Vulcan. Vulcan's probably a B. The turret is gonna be pumping out a lot of damage for boss fights. It can be constant damage. I think if you got him to Hydras, he would be a good fight. X-Ball. You don't have to worry about X-Ball, because he's not making any plays. His ult still isn't great for anything other than the movement speed, or maybe a speed run he could be useful in. You can pretty much have him topped off with mana if you're running like an Afro or a Hell comp, but I don't think he warrants being that high. Maybe B. We'll keep him at B. Zeus is a D character. It just takes too slow, and his damage is just too low. Zhong is also a D. Reason being is his ult, you can't use it. He is tanky, which he was higher in the easy mode list, but he's not that great where he is now. That's the tier list. You're gonna see a lot of Amat. You're gonna see a lot of Honor. You're gonna see a lot of Afro, Kronos, Nike. These 9 characters, you're gonna see a lot. 10, 11. Maybe not Fenrir so much, but Hel and Cupid, you're gonna see them pretty much in every single one of your games in hard mode. It's very challenging for people who are either not queuing altogether, or they don't have the drive to just go through and have a good time, fun with it. I think this adventure is one of the better ones of the 3 that we've had. It's super fun. I wish it was a game mode. They could have done a lot different with it, but these are the gods that you're going to see. These are gods you're going to want to play. And thank you, and have a wonderful evening.